And welcome back, everyone, to Box Office Report. Today on the 16th of March, 2025, and holy crap. Oh, this isn't the worst weekend of all time, but it's right up there. Novocaine debuts at only $8.7 million. Mickey 17 made her $7.5 million, but dropped 60 some odd percent, just over 60% in its second week, which I'm really not surprised about. Black Bag debuts at $7.5 million for number 3 spot. Captain America Brave New World still in the top 5 with our $5.4 million. And The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, which did not have a showing in my Cinemark, so I couldn't go out and see that. So sorry to the person who oftentimes asks me to go see the animated stuff. I will make an effort to watch it when it comes on streaming. It's clear it's not, even if it gets some extra screens, it's not going to be coming to my theater, or if it does, I'm just going to have too many other things to go see. So, as I alluded to, this is not the worst weekend in box office history, not by a long margin. But let's just add, say, the top 5 together. Number 1 to number 2 is a little over $16 million. Then Black Bag adds another, looking at this real quick, it makes it 23.8-ish, or 7-ish. Then you go Captain America, it goes about 29, 32, 35. To put it in perspective, 2021, the year after COVID, or just as we are, not the year after COVID, but the 2020 year after once the pandemic we started coming out of the pandemic, theaters started to open up, did have a significantly lower box office, but there was mitigating factors that we were just coming out of the pandemic. This year to date, this weekend to date, in 2020, when the pandemic was about to hit, had roughly just between, say, the top 6, $40 to $45 million. So, yeah, this is not a good weekend at the box office. This is a piss poor weekend at the box office. In fact, it is arguably the worst weekend at the box office since 2021, arguably. And it's certainly the worst weekend, I think, of this year so far. I didn't get through all the weekends this year, but the thing about like January is it still had the trickle off from December, so that wasn't a problem. And then February at least had Captain America and Paddington opening up. Yeah, there haven't been a huge amount of releases yet, but you still had those things to happen. But here we've had Mickey 17, which opened to 19 million, okay, but then dropped 60 million the next week, and now I got Novocaine not even opening to double digits. Watch, I didn't think it was going to be like 30, 40 million, but I thought 15 million was more than capable. But yeah, so let's talk about the movies first, and then we'll go into what's maybe happening at the box office right now. So Novocaine opens up with 8.7 million. Now, luckily, comparing it to Love Hurts was probably a really good comparison because they're made on the exact same budget, around $18 million. Now, this unfortunately means that this thing isn't even opening on half its budget, which normally wouldn't be that big a deal, except when you're a smaller movie, that whole half of budget metric that a lot of films go by doesn't cut it, because they're gonna get your cutoffs. Let's just use a random example here. If a movie is made on $100 million, and we're not factoring international or anything like that, but if it's made on $100 million, let's say it has $50 million in marketing. That means on a whole, the film has to bid about $22 million. And now let's say the film opens at $50 million. Well, if that film drops 50% next week, it's still making another $25 million. And even if we're dropping another 50, you're now up to like 88, and that's not even factoring in the in-between days. But if you're a film that's only made on $18 million and you open on $9 million, and then you drop $4 million, and plus bigger films usually have bigger weekday take-ins, whereas smaller films don't. So you drop 50% the next week, you're only making $4.5 million. You see the difference there? And so even though this wouldn't inherently be a god-awful number, it's not a good number either. And that's unfortunate because this is actually a pretty enjoyable film. Like, unlike wow, I just unlike Love Hurts, which was enjoyable but probably not a good movie. In fact, I'd definitely say it's not a good movie. This is a good movie. I actually think it's a very effective rom-com mixed with an action comedy with a twist that I can't feel pain. Um, so I don't know if this one's going to really have any legs. In fact, I'd be very surprised if it didn't, because we now have Snow White coming this week, which, despite all the issues surrounding it, allegedly, well, all the controversy, I think, is the better way to put it, surrounding it, it will be the #1 box office movie of the week coming out. And then you got Working Man coming out the next week, the new Jason Statham film, which, as far as action films go, oh yeah, that thing's going to murder this thing at the box office, because it's going to be 2 weeks in already. And Jason Statham is still a box office draw. So, why didn't Novocaine work? Well, Jack Quaid right now might not be the biggest lead draw. He's great on The Boys, from what I understand. Really enjoyed him in Companion, and he's great in this. But maybe he's not to be fair, almost no one these days is an actual box office draw in the level that used to be back in the 90s or early 2000s. That just doesn't exist anymore. I also wonder if maybe Love Hurts actually hurt this film a little bit, because they did have a similar tone to them, and not many people wanted to go see Love Hurts. They were not interested in the movie. I'm sure negative reviews didn't help, whereas this does have positive reviews. In fact, I think it sells like an 80% Rotten Tomatoes, just from the critics alone. Let's see here. I believe it, last I saw, was like 70 or 80 from the critics. Don't know what the audience score is, but it was overall had a much, much better rating than Love Hurts does. But I actually think that tonal comparison may have hurt it as well. They're just thinking, oh, another action comedy that's going to suck. No need to wait till, again, the whole streaming issue. I'll just wait for streaming to go on. 82%, 89%. That is monuments better than what we got with Love Hurts. So everyone actually generally really liked the film. But, again, I think, again, streaming issue is a problem. Excuse me. Because people who would normally go out to maybe see something that's a little lower on the scale are just saying, well, I got the streaming service for it. This is Paramount, which not a lot of people have Paramount Plus, to be fair. So I'll just wait a month for it to come out in streaming. Granted, it's more like 45 days, but it's still one of those things where it's like, yeah, this is how the streaming industry hurts the movie industry. It's not really hurting your big blockbusters. Those will be fine, as we saw. Deadpool, Wolverine, Barbie, Mario, Moana 2, and Inside Out 2. All those, and then Lion King, like a lot of those did just fine. The streaming industry didn't really even if they did lose some business, it wasn't enough to hurt them at all. But it's these smaller films, or these films like Fall Guy, where they seem a little bit more kind of just casual viewing as opposed to event viewing, that the streaming industry comes and hurts these films a bit. At least when you have a window of 45 days. If you say bumped it up, I'm not saying you got to go back to 90, although I wouldn't mind it, because look what happened with Inside Out 2. They waited the full 90 days and they raked in almost $1.7 billion. So you probably should go back to the 90 days. But Kyle the Middleman, go 60 days, 2 months. I think that's a good, reasonable compromise. Still, it sucks, unfortunately, that this film didn't do better, and it's not going to do it. It's going to lose money. Now, it won't do as bad as I think the Love Hurts did. Is Love Hurts even still around on this list? No, it's not. But it's still not going to do well, unfortunately. Now, I think the other problem, though, for Novocaine was the marketing, because it was a film where you really couldn't market it in any other way than how you did, to be fair. And the trailers were fine. It's not like they over-marketed it. It's just they didn't have much to market, to be fair. What you see in the trailer really is a lot of what you get. There is more to the movie, but a lot of scenes are just what you see in the movie extended out. So I think that hurt them as well. Mickey 17 dropped 60.5%. Right now it's made $90 million against a $118 million budget. And the scuttlebutt is it needs to make about $300 million, which makes sense. You're looking at a film that probably had anywhere from 50 to maybe 80 million in marketing. Which, if you obviously do the basic math, that's how that would play out. $90 million don't fucking cut it. I try not to swear as much as I used to, but it don't effing cut it, man. It do not do it. And domestically, this film is not making its money back. You know that for a fact. International is the only place it could maybe stand a shot, and right now that's not looking good. And I'm honestly not surprised by any of it. Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't drop by more than 60 point. It's going to be maybe up or down 60.5 when the actuals come in, but I'm surprised it wasn't more. Why? Because it's a good film, but I can see how it was a bit of a hard film to market, and no one actually told you what. I heard it put best. This had the same problem that Blade Runner 2049 had. No one effing told you what the movie was actually about. All you knew was that there was this guy that it's in the future. You can clone people, and this guy is one of those people who constantly gets cloned to test out the inhospitability. Yeah, he's there to make sure it's safe to go on a planet or something like that. So, and that's really all you got. You know, it's kind of got a little bit of a grungy vibe. There's these alien things. There's two of them. But that's not what the story is actually about. It's just plot elements of the story. So and again, to be fair, how do you actually market this film? I'm not certain. I'm really not certain. It's not like the trailers were bad, but the trailers also were a little misleading in the fact that they made it seem a lot wackier than it was. It was definitely wacky, but in a more subdued way. Like I said, it felt more like a Wes Anderson film to me than anything else. And that's not necessarily inherently bad or good. That's just how it felt. And so the movie you were kind of being sold was not necessarily the movie we got. And I think it shows, because even though it was a decent film, people saw it and were like, yeah, we were good that one time. I don't know if this has a lot of replayability. So yeah, I don't know. It's one of those films that was good, probably deserved better, but I'm honestly not shocked by the results we're getting for it. Black Bag, a film that I knew was coming out this week. I'd been seeing trailer. Apparently, it's got fantastic reviews, 97% critical, 71% audience. And to be fair, you know, political thrillers, espionage thrillers, they're a bit more drama, romance thriller. All right, they're a little bit more hard to market to an overall audience. But you know what? It's and look, Michael Fassbender is a fantastic actor. He's been in a lot of crap though, from what I understand, and it sucks. Jonah Hex, I love him in Jonah Hex. That movie's not good, but it's a fun bad movie for me. But Jonah Hex, The Snowman, what was it? Oh, not Collateral. The one with not Guy Ritchie, the Ridley Scott film that also had Cameron Diaz, Javier Bardem, Brad Pitt. I'm forgetting what that one's called, but that apparently was not very good. He's just kind of had and then the X-Men films kind of just started to decrease after Days of Future Past. Apocalypse, I think, is passable, but is problematic. And the Dark Phoenix is absolute garbage. He's still good in those movies. Like, every movie he is in, he is good in. But it's just not that the films themselves suffer. So I'm glad that he's finally getting to show that, oh yeah, no, I'm a good actor. Let me show you that I am a good actor. And so, yeah, it's good for them. Absolutely. Cate Blanchett also just always a joy. So I'm glad that he could be in a good movie for a change. Captain America: Brave New World made her $5.4 million. Man, where were these small ass week to week drops when the first weekend came after? Like 68.3% that first weekend, but then all the other ones are below 50. And there was nothing coming. And here's the thing: there was nothing coming out that weekend either. I'm not quite sure where the discrepancy is. Like, why were less people interested in coming out the second weekend, but more people willing to come out the following 3 weekends? that's I'm having trouble wrapping my mind around what's going on in that scenario there. Yeah, like we're in its 5th week now. What happened between week 1 and 2 that didn't happen in week 3 through 5? Now, granted, that is usually a pattern for the big MCU releases anyway, that there's a huge drop off the second weekend, but then the legs kick in a bit more, and they actually had these kind of drops here. But I don't know, because Captain America: Brave New World, not a very good movie. It's passable, I think. I think it's a passable movie. It is on the much weaker end, I think, of the MCU. But it's even so, we've seen we've seen what happens with bad movies like Quantumania or the Marvels. What happens when they have a drop off. Oof. And yeah, I believe this dropped off less than Ant-Man and the Wasp, so I don't know. But still, where was it? Oh, it's made currently worldwide $388.5 million right now. So I did say last week this film was not going to be able to get his money back. It needs to hit about 420 to do that. The amount of money it's going to lose, though, is going to be pretty minimal compared to, like, say, what the Marvels lost. I also asked the question, do I think it's going to hit 400 million? Well, right now, it only stands at $11.5 million away from the 400 million marker. It's in its 5th week. It'll still hang around for at least another couple weeks, 3 to 4. It's gonna be getting scrapped at that point, but it'll still be around. 11.5, I think it's still doable. So I think it could still hit 400 million. I do still think that's viable. But again, we're now at the point now where it's kind of running on empty. And we've spoken ad nauseum about why we think that, or at least why I think the movie didn't ultimately end up doing all that well. It got pushed multiple times. There's the drama that surrounds, the MCU right now as a whole. It was the last film of the Chapek era, which that alone carries a little bit of stink on it, but also the film's quality suffered because of that. Not the best MCU film. People, they didn't really give you a good idea about what. Another example of they didn't actually give you a good idea about what the film was about. We knew that we knew that they had discovered, that we knew from clips that Tiamat's body had adamantium in there. Okay, but that's clips, not the trailers. What did the trailers actually show us? Well, Captain America, Sam Wilson, was at odds with the president a little bit about restarting the Avengers. There's the Celestial Island in the ocean. Great. People are clearly fighting over it. He's going to turn into the Red Hulk. There's someone behind the scenes manipulating things. But to what end and purpose? What reasons? What's Cap's story and all that? Isaiah's back. They just didn't really... Like, the trailers weren't bad. I want to be very clear. Especially that first trailer, very espionage, Clancy. Yeah, it felt very, Jack Ryan felt very good, very slick. But then they just weren't able to double down. They gave us about an equally decent trailer, but yeah, just, I don't know. I don't know. Either way, I mean, look, is it still the highest grossing film of the year, folks? Well, let's look at that worldwide real quick. Yes, it is. And it's probably actually going to stay that way for a little while. I'm not even 100% sure, given all the scuttlebutt around Snow White, which I will be seeing this week, that Snow White's going to cross that marker right now. We'll have to wait and see. But, yeah, where you're probably not going to get a film that actually can straight out, like, guaranteed beat it at the box office. No joke, until Thunderbolts. Because April does have some good films, looks like, are coming out, and some crappy ones too. But like Sinners isn't making that much money. Minecraft could, but I don't think it's going to be very good. I don't think a lot of people are interested. Accountant 2? Fuck no, that's not making that much money, as much as I'd love it to. So no, honestly, if Snow White's not the one to do it, it will be Thunderbolts that does it. Because Thunderbolts, despite the fact this maybe hurt a little bit of that momentum, and let's be fair, any not good movie in a track record, once your track record starts to get choppy, is going to hurt the next movie a little bit, no matter what. But the Thunderbolts just looks fantastic. Honestly, it's looking really fan-freaking-tastic. No pun intended for Fantastic Four. And the trailers have just been getting better and better. That last H-24 trailer they did, that was fantastic. And apparently the box office predictions went up from that. So so Captain America, whatever damage it did to Thunderbolts, it's minimal. Now, Thunderbolts can be great, as good as it's looking. Like, at least as good as it's looking. And then Fantastic Four, just from that teaser, is as good as it looks. Okay, now we're heading into Doomsday and Spider-Man 4 with like a little bit of a, yeah, MCU, baby, come on, let's do this. Daredevil right now is really freaking good. We're only 3 episodes out of 9, but it's really good. So come on, we're getting that momentum back. We're starting to climb back up the ladder here. One bump, they got at least enough goodwill from Deadpool, Wolverine, and Agatha to have a little bit of a bump. And apparently your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man was really good. I didn't watch that, but I'll be honest, the animation style doesn't do it for me. I would actually be pretty distracted by it. So right now, it's a bump, but it was a necessary bump to get us back on the road, I think. So again, maybe we'll see you can hit 400. I'll hold out hope for 400. I think 400 is still doable. The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. I don't know what this film's made on. It's probably not. It is animated in like a hand-drawn style, so it's not probably overly expensive. Did not get any marketing that I could find. Like probably whatever marketing that it had was online or attached to more than likely more younger kids' films. Like even Dogman, I didn't see a trailer for this attached to it. So I can't really gauge how well this film's doing because I don't know what the budget is. And I mean, they don't do hand-drawn films very well anymore. I saw a poll where it said, why don't they do as well as others? They could if they were marketed better. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the case anymore. I really don't. The day and age of hand-drawn, like looking like 2D animation films being on big screens and being like, spectacles and making lots of money, those days are sadly gone. They left us right around Pixar. Right around Pixar, DreamWorks really starting to get into the CGI business. They just and don't get me wrong, I love 2D animated films. I do. Some of my favorite animated films are 2D animated films. I love the original Beauty and the Beast. I love Atlantis, by the way. Atlantis Lost Empire. Cats Don't Dance, underrated classic. You got, you know what? I really like Treasure Planet, which was a nice mix of both. Rescuers Down Frickin' Under will go down as one of my favorite animated films. But again, what you can do in 2D and hand-drawn is you can do in 3D and arguably easier now because the original style of doing 2D animation, it's not the same thing anymore. We just advanced too far, and unfortunately, it's the price of advancement that certain things become. I don't like to use the word, but semi-obsolete. I'm not saying 2D is completely obsolete. There will always be a niche corner for 2D. But unfortunately, as time goes on, we rely on different practices. 3D has proven to make more money also. I mean, you look at the majority of the $1 billion animated club. The original Lion King's in there. In fact, hold on. Let's get that up real quick here. Of the animated films that exist? And let's see here, all time worldwide. And let's see, they don't give me they don't separate into animated, which I find whatever. But yeah, overall. So let's actually look at the animated films going from bottom to top. How about that? Let's see here. Already I'm starting to struggle here a little bit. Okay. Where's Lion King? Let me start with Lion King and go. Okay. No, sorry. That's 20. That's the remade Aladdin, not the animated one. Am I wrong when I thought the Lion King was a $1 billion film, $1 billion+ film? Hold on. The original Lion King is not a $1 billion film. No, it's just under $1 billion. I apologize for that. Yeah, unfortunately, if you just look at any of the $1 billion films that are animated, none of them are 2D animation. And unfortunately, the conversation topics in Hollywood are that money talks. And so If they have a proven concept, they go with that concept. Now, again, does that mean that 2D is gone forever? No. We saw that Lord of the Rings film come around last year. Didn't do well, but still came around. So is it gone forever? No, but are you ever going to really see a big screen 2D film again? No, you're not. They just don't feel the need to market it because their numbers show that not a lot of people would go to see it. And look, on 2,827 screens, mind you, they didn't market it very well. It didn't. Even if they did market it well, I don't think you would have seen this crack even 10 million, to be honest. First off, it's a Looney Tunes film also. I don't think those films never grew a big audience. But who knows? Maybe one day 2D, at least in like the way we do it in computers now, could make a comeback in the theaters. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying times have changed. The Last Supper, 2.8 million. Okay. Paper Air Media, drama history, depicts events prior to betrayal as a group of disciples gather, unveiling secrets into. Okay. That's something that happened. Paddington Peru, $2.7 million, $183 million. It's still not profitable, which sucks. We talked about why that didn't do well before. Dogman. Right now, Dogman's just kind of sprinkling the money on top right now. The Monkey, 2.4 million. Again, it's just reaping rewards at this point. Like, it was made on 10.5, 11 million. Factor probably about 20 in marketing at most. Yeah, film made some money back. And it's making money, so good for them. Last Breath, the film that did not make its money back, didn't even make 20 million. Maybe it'll make 20 million, but it's made on like 20 some odd million. Mufasa, The Lion King, $1.1 million. It's amazing that in its 13th week, it's still able to crack an extra $1 million. I do, however, think that is the last million it's making because it's in its 13th week. It's going to lose now a huge amount of screens because Snow White comes out, and B, Snow White comes out, which is a Disney film as well. Opus debuted with a little over $1 million about some sort of like rock icon who's like got this cult, and this journalist goes to discover it. Honora, but nothing else really to talk about here. Yeah, really isn't anything else to really write home about. So yeah, now the last thing to talk about is why? Why does the box office look this sad? I guess is the best way to put it. Like, I am shocked by like just the level of at the box office right now. Normally it doesn't get you don't see it get this bad unless something's going on. Like, usually, sometimes in January you might get kind of this bad, but you usually still got the runoff of December to help it out. March, weirdly, is one of those months that can turn into a doldrum depending on what's coming out. And with Novocaine and Mickey 17 not doing well, I wonder what I'm trying to figure out what the lack of interest at the movie for the movies is right now overall. And I mean, there's several things. Again, early streaming hurts some of these weaker films. First and foremost, that's what it does. So I think that's the case. Also, similar natures to other films coming out. Novocaine and Love Hurts, they did feel very similar in tone. I think that could have turned people off. Why did no one really care about Black Bag? Well, maybe just not interested in that type of film right now. Why did no one like Mickey 17? Or why did people just not come back to Mickey 17? Well, it was a hard movie to market. They didn't market it well. And when they saw it, they're like, this was fine, but I'm good on the first viewing. I know I am. And then Captain America was not as good as we were hoping for. So I think it's just a big disappointment of current roster of movies this year. There's been some good ones, but even the good ones didn't get the viewing they deserved, I think. Like, Companion did not make the money it deserved to make. Paddington's not making the money it deserves to make. But at the same time, we will get now, if Snow White comes out, Snow White's been projected, I believe, between like $45 to $60 million, which apparently would be really good. But if that opens and it's like 30 million, that might be low. Let's say 40 million, which would be under even the 45 low ball prediction that I'm given. Now we actually have to really talk about what's going on with the movies, because you have, even if there's a lot of controversy around stuff, that usually doesn't stop. So even the Flash, which had Ezra Miller and the DC bullshit going on, still managed to open, I think, like $50-some-odd million. So even controversy can hurt a film. It won't hurt, like, destroy a film usually. Now, Flash didn't go on to make a lot of money, but again, that's arguably due to the quality of the film. But the international wasn't all that huge. So, and I like the Flash. I actually really enjoy the Flash movie. But yeah. So, right now I'm not worried about the box. First off, I'm not really worried about the box office as a whole right now, just because none of our real big hitters this year are out yet. Want to actually take a look at our big hitters real quick? Well, first, let's do our prediction. Snow White will be number one. Feel safe on that. Apart from that, though, we got Ash, which is not really going to be in the wide. When we say wide release, it's not going to be that wide. Neither is Locked. Alto Knights is getting a limited release. That could, but they also say Snow White is getting a limited release. That could just be bullshit. But overall, obviously we'll go Snow White. I'll say Novocaine, because I think it will at least have a good word about this weekend. I'll say, oh boy, I'll go Mickey 17. Then I'll say Captain America, and then Black Bag. I just don't know if Alto Knights really is limited or not. But let's actually take a look. Let's end this off with looking at the upcoming movies. Just the next 3 months. Let's say that. Through April, for the rest of March, April, March, and June. Or May and June. So we got Snow White, obviously. That's going to be the big one this week. The following week, you got Working Man and the Woman in the Yard. I don't know how well either of those are going to do, but they both should probably draw in some entertainment. I'm actually curious about the Woman in the Yard, now that we got that second trailer. Working Man is just going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be just Beekeeper 2, the beekeeping. You got Minecraft coming out. I have no finger on how well that's going to do. Freaky Tales, which I don't think is going to matter that much. You got The Amateur, Drop, all right, and something called Warfare. You got Sinners, which is cool. The Ritual, which I have no idea what this one's about. Star Wars Episode 3 is going to get a re-release. But then you got The Accountant 2, Until Dawn. I don't think Legend of Ochi is going to do much. Then you got Thunderbolts in May. You got, Romeo 2. What? I'm sorry, do we have two different Romeo and Juliet films coming out at the same time? One's a romance, one's a musical, but they're by the same All right, Clown in the Cornfield, I don't know. I've seen the trailer for that, but it's not really going to be busting the wall. So Thunderbolt's probably going to have a clean weekend that weekend. Then you get Final Destination Bloodlines. Then you get Mission Impossible and Lilo and frickin' Stitch. And if you want to guarantee that movie that's probably going to make bank, it's Lilo and frickin' Stitch. That trailer was adorable, and I'm getting like that weird ad thing where there's like okay, that's what's going on. Anyway, then you got Karate Kid Legends at the end of May, and then going just into June alone, it's going to be John Wick Ballerina. Then the following week, you got How to Train Your Dragon, the live action film. The following week, you got 28 years later. And then the following, then going into July, you got Jurassic World Rebirth. Superman a week after that. I Know What You Last Summer, and then Fantastic Four. Like, we haven't even begun to see the heavy hitters of this year yet. Not even close. And let's not forget that Avatar comes out at the end of the year. And both of those are two of the three highest grossing films of all time. So I'm not worried about the box office right now. I'm more concerned just by moviegoer mindsets than anything else about, okay, why are we not going to the movies? So there's not a lot we want to go see right now. Anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Later.